Welcome to the chat, Foster Smith.
His audio is connecting.
Okay. Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Foster Smith?
Yeah, he's saying to me, he's saying his audio is to connect, so it's still connecting.
Okay. We can't hear you yet, Foster Smith. You have to connect your audio. Victor said I'm shaking and sweating. All right.
Did he not say he was hungry too?
What?
Did he not say he was like hungry or something?
Hungry?
Yeah, I heard hungry. I don't know why.
Alright. So, now it says, what connection to the social issue does this quotation, paraphrase, summary exhibit? Remember, when we're writing text evidence, we're talking about our social issue. What was our social issue? What was the social issue that we wrote? Do you remember the social issue?
Better get moving, I guess.
Dylan? James? What is the social issue?
What is a social issue?
What is the social issue that you wrote at the top of your paper?
I haven't come up with one for the text for the exhibit that I'm showing.
We've been talking about what? Racism, right?
Yeah.
Racism. Racism. So every piece of text evidence that we write down on the left-hand side, we need to draw a conclusion that is related to the social issue.
Okay.
So what connection does bigger sweating and shaking?
He's nervous, maybe?
Bigger is nervous. Why? Because he killed who?
Mary?
Killed Mary. Who is Mary? Why is he extra nervous compared to any other time?
Because there's a policeman around.
But who is Mary first? Who is Mary?
What to do next?
Yes, Mary was killed by Bigger. Why is this significant? Related to our topic of racism. Everything's going to connect to racism. Dylan, what do you think?
Hey, this looks like some.
Dylan is a white woman. There's a policeman around him, which makes him think what?
Because I'm getting a treat because he's black and then bigger.
connects to why he's nervous?
Yes, yes. So every piece of text evidence that you write down, you need to make a connection to the social issue, which is racism. Okay? We're going to listen to some more. You can say stop, or you can write in the box saying stop if you think of something, okay? Otherwise, I'll just stop it.
He groaned, holding as still as possible. His vision was blurred, but gradually it cleared. Again, he saw the furnace. Then he realized that he had been on the verge of collapse. Soon the glare and drone of the fire came to his eyes and ears. He closed his mouth and gritted his teeth. A peculiar, paralyzing numbness was leaving. When he was strong enough to stand without support, he rose to his feet and wiped his forehead on his sleeve. He had strained himself from a too long lack of sleep and food, and the excitement was sapping his energy. He should go to the kitchen and ask for his dinner. Surely, he should not starve like this. He mounted the steps to the door and knocked timidly. There was no answer. He turned the knob and pushed the door in and saw the kitchen flooded with light. On a table were spread several white napkins, under which was something that looked like plates of food. He stood gazing at it, then went to the table and lifted the corners of the napkins. There were sliced bread and steak, and fried potatoes, and gravy and string beans and spinach, and a huge piece of chocolate cake. His mouth watered. Was this for him? He wondered if Peggy was around. Ought he try to find her? But he disliked the thought of looking for her. That would bring attention to himself, something which he hated. He stood in the kitchen, wondering if he ought to eat, but afraid to do so. He rested his black fingers on the edge of the white table, and a silent laugh burst from his parted lips as he saw himself for a split second in a lurid objective light. He had killed a rich white girl, and had burned her body after cutting her head off, and had lied to throw the blame on someone else, and had written a kidnap note demanding $10,000. And he stood, afraid to touch food on it.
All right, what do you want to write?
Truly special about being able to fight in the world tournament.
He wanted to put the blame on somebody else.
Wow, everyone's
Okay,
really excited
bigger.
about the tournament.
How did you know that? Did he say that?
Mm-hmm.
But in the test, and I just heard the audio. He couldn't eat because he wanted he just burned a rich white girl.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like super. He said like, I don't know what to do. Should I put the blame on somebody, or should I just go to the police and say something?
I'm saying, so bigger thought. Should I put the on someone else? Or should
Hey there!
I go to
I can't believe it!
the police?
Hi.
And everything needs to be connected to racism. So why is he doing this? You think that he's going to put the blame on another black person, or you think he was going to put it on somebody who's white?
Well, he was super nervous, so he was like thinking, who person should I blame on?
Mm-hmm. You want to listen a little bit? You want to listen a little bit more and see?
Yeah.
Where he decides.
table. Food, which undoubtedly was his own. Bigger.
Right.
Huh? He answered before he knew who had called. Where have you been? Your dinner's been waiting for you since 5 o'clock. There's a chair. Eat as much as you want. He stopped listening. In Peggy's hand was the kidnap note.
What?
I'll heat your coffee. Go ahead and eat. Had she opened it?
Huh?
Did she know what was in it?
Yeah.
No. The envelope was still sealed. She came to the table and removed the napkin. His knees were shaking with excitement, and sweat broke out in his forehead. His skin felt as though it were puckering up from a blast of heat.
Thank you very
Don't you
much.
want the steak
All right.
warm? The question reached him from far away, and he shook his head without really knowing what she meant. Don't you feel well? This is all right, he murmured. You oughtn't starve yourself that way. I wasn't hungry.
Gotta
You're
make sure
hungrier
I
than you
go
think,
unnoticed at
she
the
said.
tournament.
She set a cup and saucer at his plate,
I can't go
then laid the letter on the
saying
edge of the
either.
table.
Better make sure
He
Vegeta's
held
on
his
it as
attention,
well.
as though it were a steel magnet, and his eyes were iron. She got the coffee pot and poured his cup full. No doubt, she had just gotten the letter from under the door, and had not yet had time to give it to Mr. Dalton. She placed a small jar of cream in his plate, and took up the letter again. I've got to give this to Mr. Dalton, she said. I'll be back in a moment. Yes, he whispered. She left. He stopped chewing and stared before him, his mouth dry. But he had to eat. Not to eat now would create suspicion. He shoved the food in and chewed each mouthful a while, then washed it down with swallows of hot coffee.
That's interesting. Not to eat now would cause suspicion. But who is he afraid of?
All right.
Who is Bigger afraid of?
Here I go.
Well, he's interacting with, is Bessie? Is that who he's with? Is he with Bessie?
Is he with her?
There we go.
Yeah, so obviously he can't eat or drink because he's really nervous. He don't know what to do.
Hi.
Because he's like, if somebody talks to him right now, he's really delayed, if you notice.
Okay.
Yeah, like just now, he like, I think somebody was talking to her, and I mean, to Bigger, and he was super delayed. He's like, he's in another word basically.
Bigger has delayed thoughts. So what is this called? You ever hear of like post-traumatic slave syndrome?
No.
It's like PTSD, like it's stress, right?
Yeah.
Because he is under stress.
He's like basically in a different world. He's like, I don't know what to do.
What?
He does not know what decision is best to make.
Yeah.
So, who is bigger afraid of? He does not want it, not. Anything else? Dylan, you have any thoughts? Ralston Smith, do you have any thoughts?
He's
I
afraid
do my best to fulfill my duties as the new guardian of Earth.
of going to
Ah,
the
this
police. Because he might get caught by other people of his nervousness.
Right. So his nervousness could actually get him caught, right? Because it's drawing attention to him.
If he goes to a police station or something, his nervousness, basically, the police is going to like, that's what basically.
I think so.
If you want to put the blame on somebody, he got to be calm. But how he is right now, super nervous, I don't think that's going to work.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I'm on this.
You are. You should. Maybe we should do class on video chat all the time.
I'm really on this. Whoa, I'm really surprised.
Go, William.
I mean,
Reed University.
Let's listen some more.
When the coffee gave out, he used cold water. He strained his ears to catch sounds, but none came. Then the door swung in silently, and Peggy came back. He could see nothing in her round, red face. Out of the corners of his eyes, he watched her go to the stove and putter with pots and pans. Want more coffee? No. You ain't scared of all this trouble we're having around here, are you, Bigger? Oh, no, he said, wondering if something in his manner had made her ask that. That poor Mary, Peggy sighed. She acts like such a ninny. Imagine, a girl keeping her parents worried sick all the time. But there are children for you these days. He hurried with his eating, saying nothing. He wanted to get out of the kitchen. The thing was in the open now. Not all of it, but some of it. Nobody knew about Mary yet. He saw in his mind a picture of the Dalton family, distraught and horrified when they found that Mary was kidnapped. That would put them a certain distance from him. They would think that white men did it. They would never think that a black, timid Negro did that. They would go after Jan. The red he had signed to the letter, and the hammer and curving knife would make them look for communists. You got enough? Yes. You better clean the ashes out of the furnace in the morning, Bigger. Yes. And be ready for Mr. Dalton at 8. Yes. Your room all right? Yes. The door swung in violently. Bigger started in fright. Mr. Dalton came into the kitchen, his face ashy. He stared at Peggy, and Peggy, holding a dish towel in her hand, stared at him. In Mr. Dalton's hand was the letter, open. What's the matter, Mr. Dalton? Who gave you this? What? This letter? Why, nobody. I got it from the door. When? A few minutes ago. Anything wrong? Mr. Dalton looked round the entire kitchen. Not at anything in particular, but just round the entire stretch of 4 walls, his eyes wide and unseeing. He looked back at Peggy. It was as if he had thrown himself upon her mercy, was waiting for her to say some word that would take the horror away. What's the matter, Mr. Dalton? Peggy asked again. But before Mr. Dalton could answer, Mrs. Dalton groped her way into the kitchen, her white hands held high. Bigger watched her fingers trample through the air till they touched Mr. Dalton's shoulder. They gripped his coat, hard enough to tear it from his body. Bigger, without moving an eyelid, felt his skin grow hot and his muscles stiffen. Henry! Henry! Mrs. Dalton called. What's the matter? Mr. Dalton did not hear her. He still stared at Peggy. Did you see who left this letter? No, Mr. Dalton. You, Bigger? No, sir, he whispered, his mouth full of dry food. Henry, tell me, please, for heaven's sake. Mr. Dalton put his arm about Mrs. Dalton's waist and held her close to him. It's about Mary. It's she. What? Where is she? They got her. They kidnapped her. Henry, no! Mrs. Dalton screamed. Oh, no! Peggy whimpered, running to Mr. Dalton. My baby! Mrs. Dalton sobbed. She's been kidnapped, Mr. Dalton said, as though he had to say the words over again to convince himself. Bigger's eyes were wide, taking in all three of them in one constantly roving glance. Mrs. Dalton continued to sob, and Peggy sank into a chair, her face in her hands. Then she sprang up and ran out of the room, crying, Lord, don't let them kill her. Mrs. Dalton swayed. Mr. Dalton lifted her and staggered, trying to get her through the door. As he watched Mr. Dalton, there flashed through Bigger's mind a quick image of how he had lifted Mary's body in his arms the night before. He rose and held the door open for Mr. Dalton, and watched him walk unsteadily down the dim hallway with Mrs. Dalton in his arms. He was alone in the kitchen now. Again, the thought that he had the chance to walk out of here and be clear of it all came to him. And again, he brushed it aside. He was tensely eager to stay and see how it would all end, even if that end swallowed him in blackness. He felt that he was living upon a high pinnacle where bracing winds whipped about him. There came to his ears a muffled sound of song. Then suddenly there was silence. What's happening? Would Mr. Dalton phone the police now? He strained to listen, but no sounds came. He went to the door and took a few steps into the hallway. There was still no sound. He looked about to make sure that no one was watching him, then crept on tiptoe down the hall. He heard voices. Mr. Dalton was talking to someone. He crept farther. Yes, he could hear. I want to talk to Britton, please. Mr. Dalton was phoning. Come right over, please. Yes, at once. Something awful has happened. I don't want to talk about it over the phone. That meant that when Britton came back, he would be questioned again. Yes, right away. I'll be waiting. He had to get back to his room. He tiptoed along the hall, through the kitchen, down the steps, and into the basement. The torrid cracks of the furnace gleamed in the crimson darkness, and he heard the throaty undertone of the draft devouring the air. Was she burned? But even if she were not, who would think of looking in the furnace for her? He went to his room, into the closet, closed the door, and listened. Silence. He came out, left the door open, and in order to get to the closet quickly and without sound, pulled off his shoe. He lay again on the bed, his mind whirling, with images born of a multitude of impulses. He could run away. He could remain. He could even go down and confess what he had done. The mere thought that these avenues of action were open to him made him feel free, that his life was his, that he held his future in his hands. But they would never think that he had done it. not a meek black boy like him. He bounded off the bed, listening, thinking that he had heard voices. He had been so deeply taken up with his own thoughts that he did not know if he had actually heard anything or had imagined it. Yes, he heard faint footsteps below. He hurried to the closet. The footsteps ceased. There came to him the soft sound of sobbing. It was Peggy. Her sobbing quietly, then rose to a high pitch. He stood for a long time, listening to Peggy's sobs, and the wind sweeping through the night outside. Peggy's sobs ceased, and her footsteps sounded once more. Was she going to answer the door? Footsteps came again. Peggy had gone to the front of the house for something, and had come back. He heard a heavy voice, a man's. At first he could not identify it. Then he realized that it was Brittany. And you found the note? Yes. How long ago? About an hour. You're sure you didn't see anyone leave it? It was sticking under the door. Think now. Did you see anybody about the house or driveway? No. The boy and me. That's all that's been around here. And where's the boy now? Upstairs in his room, I think. Did you ever see this handwriting before? No, Mr. Britton. Can you guess? Can you think? Imagine who would send such a note? No. Not a soul in this whole wide world, Mr. Britton. Peggy wailed. Britton's voice ceased. There was the sound of other heavy feet. Chairs scraped over the floor. More people were in the kitchen. Who were they? Their movements sounded like those of men. Then Bigger heard Britton speaking again. Listen, Peggy. Tell me, how does this boy act? What do you mean, Mr. Britton? Does he seem intelligent? Does he seem to be acting? I don't know, Mr. Britton. He's just like all the other colored boys. Does he say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am?
Uh-oh. Do you think we should write that down?
What?
Do you think that's important? Because we're talking about racism. They were saying, how does this boy act?
Yep, that's correct. The time, I think, what's the girl's name?
Mary.
Mary, yeah, Mary's mother got scared. She's like, she got kidnapped, right?
Mary's mother got kidnapped?
No, Mary, basically, who told her somebody got kidnapped?
Was it Bigger? I thought it was Bigger.
Yeah. And she
Bigger.
got out, right?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
But remember, she's blind.
But she was worried.
Yeah. Remember she came to the room? Remember, if you remember the movie, remember?
Yeah.
She came to the room and was looking for her.
That's you.
So, how does the boy act? And what kind of things were they looking for? Does he say what? Yes, ma'am. And yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's listen more.
Ma'am, it's Mr. Britton. He's polite. But does he seem to be trying to appear like he's more ignorant than he really is? I don't know, Mr. Britton. Have you missed anything around the house since he's been here? No, nothing. Has he ever insulted you or anything? Oh, no, no. What kind of a boy is he? He's just a quiet colored boy. That's all I can say. Did you ever see him reading anything? No, Mr. Britton. Does he speak more intelligently at some times than at others? No, Mr. Britton. He talked always the same to me. Has he ever done anything that would make you think he knows something about this note? No, Mr. Britton. When you speak to him, does he hesitate before he answers, as though he's thinking up what to say? No, Mr. Britton, he talks and acts natural-like. When he talks, does he wave his hands around a lot? Like he's been around a lot of Jews.
What?
I've never noticed, Mr. Britton. Did you ever hear him call anybody comrade? No, Mr. Britton. Does he pull off his cap when he comes in the house? I never noticed. I think so, Mr. Britton. Has he ever sat down in your presence without being asked, like he was used to being around white people? No, Mr. Britton. Only when I told him to. Does he speak first, or does he wait until he's spoken to? Well, Mr. Britton, he seemed always to wait until we spoke to him before he said anything. Now listen, Peggy. Think and try to remember if his voice goes up when he talks, like Jews when they talk. Know what I mean? You see, Peggy, I'm trying to find out if he's been around communists.
Okay, so now, does he speak like Jews? So there's two different layers going on here right now. There's two levels. Yes?
My mother needs her laptop right now. I'm gonna have to leave.
Okay, well make sure you write this down. The last point is the social issue related to racism, but there's two different races that are being targeted. So write a comment that's related to two races. You can always come back to Google Classroom, okay? All right. We'll probably have another meeting later. Enjoy your day. All right, William. All right, Dylan. All right, Buster Smith. What is going on here now?
Well, somebody was asking so much questions, they got super nervous.
They're asking this to Mary's family. Bigger is not around at this point. They're trying to figure out what?
And who killed Mary?
No, not who killed Mary. They're trying to figure out what?
Oh, who did?
If there's a connection between the letter and Bigger knowing what's going on. So they're asking questions about what? Two things. Mary's family wants to know if Bigger is not a typical black person. And if he is playing like he is unintelligent. That's racism in itself, right? Because they think that he's typical. There is racism is playing a part here. Because he did.
So they're wondering he did.
Come up with that. One, racism is he is not a typical black person. is, that's an unfair assumption, right?
Yeah.
They also think what?
Let me see.
That if he is not a typical black person, then what? He must have what? Been around who? He must have been around who? Where did he learn how to read?
Let me see.
Where do they think he learned how to read?
Like Mary, maybe?
No.
Jews.
Not Mary. There's a certain group of people that he said that they probably learned from who? They probably learned from who?
I'm trying to see right now.
Okay. Boston Smith, who did they say that Bigger was learning from?
Mary's family.
Not Mary's family. They were talking to Mary's family. I need to look for a charger. Hold on, my laptop's dying. So the question that you need to answer, who did they say Bigger must have been learning from?
Teacher at school.
Bigger is learning from what group of people?
You asking what school he was learning from?
Yes. They said that they think maybe Bigger has something to do with it. They're starting to think that. But they're saying that he must not be a typical black person. And he's learning from a certain group of people. Who do they think he's learning from? This is going to be the last question before our class ends today. It starts with a J. A group of people that starts with a J.
I'm trying to see. Let me check.
You want me to press play a little bit? So they'll probably say it again.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Dalton. He talks just like all other colored folks to me. Where did you say he is now? Upstairs in his room. When Britton's voice ceased, Bigger was smiling. Yes, Britton was trying to trap him, trying to make out a case against him, but he could not find anything to go upon. Was Britton coming to talk to him now? There came the sound of other voices. It's a 10 to 1 chance that she's dead. Yeah, they usually bump him off. They're scared of him after they get him. They think they might identify him afterwards. Did the old man say he was going to pay? Sure, he wants his daughter back. That's just $10,000 shot to hell if you ask me. But he wants the girl. Say, I bet it's those Reds trying to raise money. Yeah. Maybe that's how they get their dough. They say that guy, Bruno Hoffman, the one who snatched the Lindy baby, did it for the Nazis. They needed the money. I'd like to shoot every one of them goddamn bastards, red or no red. There was the sound of a door opening, and more footsteps. You have any luck with the old man? Not yet. It was Britton's voice. He's scared stiff. It might seem hard on the family, but if you let them snatchers know they can't scare money out of you, they'll stop. Say, Britt, try him again. Yeah, tell him there ain't nothing to do now but to call the cops. Oh, I don't know. I hate to worry him. Well, after all, it's his daughter. Let him handle it. But listen, Britt, when they pick up this heirloom fella, he's gonna tell the cops and the papers will have the story anyway. So call him now. The sooner they get started, the better. Nah, I'll wait for the old man to give the signal. Baker knew that Mr. Dalton had not wanted to notify the police. That much was certain. But how long would he hold out? The police would know everything as soon as Jan was picked up. For Jan would tell enough to make the police and the newspapers investigate. But if Jan were confronted with the fact of the kidnapping of Mary, what would happen? Could Jan prove an alibi? If he did, then the police would start looking for someone else. They would start questioning him again. They would want to know why he had lied about Jan's being in the house.
Who's Jan? Who's Jan? Was that the friend?
I really wish Goku would get a job.
Or is that the blind lady?
He's just another deadbeat.
Alright, so it was the Jews or communists. They said that he must have been around Jews. Communists. So this is racism because they're saying he could not have learned any other way.
Yeah. They're saying basically the policeman took the rights, right?
Say that again?
This looks like it's worth something.
Yes.
Yeah. They're saying Bigger is he's black, right?
Yes.
So they're saying Bigger didn't basically black people don't know nothing better than white people.
Right.
This
Yeah.
would be a cinch.
Right there, that's racist.
All right, I'll fight you.
Because you don't know about Bigger is his life. You don't know if he has a hard moment, a good moment, or a bad moment.
Right. That's true. Alright guys, so moving forward, you're just going to continue to read and then make annotations, okay? That's what you're going to do for now. I'll probably have another class. Is this good? Is this a good time? I guess so. I'll probably have another class next, what? Okay. Probably around this time next Thursday. I'll send out another message. Yeah. Enjoy. Tell your friends that you enjoyed it so they can come next time.
Yeah, there's more.
Right, it is. I agree.
I don't know why it's not here. I just look around
As I
and
thought
figure
you'd be.
out
Too many distractions.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Well, you don't have anybody around you. Okay.
So next Thursday we will do this?
Yeah, I'll send out another message.
Alright.
Alright, have a good day.
Alright.
Bye, Walter Smith. Bye, William. Bye, Dylan.
Bye.
Talk to you guys soon.
This will be a cinch. This will be a cinch. This will be a cinch.
That's powerful. You hear?
Key.
Yeah, what did you say?
Yeah, it's a key.
As increased focus.
This will be a cinch. be a cinch. This ought to be good. This will be a cinch. Let's see. I'm not... I need to make sure...
Feedback from Makers Love Virtual Media.
Hey!
Miss Reed, having class like this, I'm more focused than in class. This is fun.
Oh. Gotta make sure I go unknown. Better make sure Vegeta's in the loop as well. Later! How lucky am I? This isn't your run-of-the-mill meat.
One say 31820. Real 26. Main purpose of the test. Working with equal groups of skeptics. We just got off the call. I spoke with my ninth graders and my 11th graders were a little bit more but they said this week it could be like class like this better. Somebody found your husband.
Now this is beyond the level of Super Saiyan.
Damn it!
I wonder if anyone's home.
Look at Miss Blackwell. Look at Miss Blackwell.
Thank you for keeping the baby's house going. In Jesus' name. Hallelujah.
Amen, amen.
Hallelujah.
In Jesus' name. Don't fret. Don't give up. Just know that God is what He said He is. He is a rewarder to them that diligently seek Him. He came not. Man can, but God can. Amen. And I love you guys. Amen. Hallelujah. Know that God is what He said He is. He is a rewarder to them that diligently seek Him. He came not. Man can, but God can. Amen. And I love you guys. Amen. Hallelujah.
Rihanna's selling pink underwears for $3.50. I'm about to get it.
What?
I'm about to get those underwear.
What?
The pizza place is doing free delivery.
Piece of place. They ain't gonna deliver all over here.
Nope, not this way. been a while. I wonder what Piccolo and the others are up to.
How's that sound?
Greetings!
Whoa!
Gotta make sure I go unnoticed at the tournament. Let's see. Yeah, I should be good to go. Okay, where is everyone? Oh, there they are.
Hey, Gohan! Took your sweet time, didn't you?
Sorry about that. Man, this place sure is packed, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Pretty annoying, huh?
It's Mr. Satan! Look! Mr. Satan's here!
Mr. Satan, huh? Looks like Earth's heroes has shown up at last.
Hello to all my touring fans around the world. Are you ready?
What?
He sure is popular, huh?
It's Mr. Piccolo!
Piccolo! Have you seen my dad anywhere?
No sign of him yet. Gohan, I have to ask, are you really going to wear that?
What could be taking Goku so long? Maybe he's already in the waiting room.
Hey, guys!
The evil wizard Babidi's machinations. Goku!
Hey! Wow, you guys sure have changed a bunch. How have you all been?
Goku!
It's good to have you back.
Goku!
Goku! Goku! Dad! Huh?
Look, Goten, it's your father!
Whoa! That's my son? Wow, he looks just like me!
What's wrong, Goten? There's no need to be shy.
His name's Goten, huh? I like it!
You've got 24 hours. That's it.
Hi, Julian. Welcome.
Thanks, fortune teller Baba!
We're going to wait a little bit for your other peers to join.
Well, this is
This
as
is
far
my
as we
third
can go.
virtual class today. And the 11th grade class.
Thanks.
And
We'll catch
your
up with you
peers
later.
said that they really
See ya.
enjoyed this format.
Hey, go, Ted. Want to do some exploring around
Can
this
you
place?
hear me? I see your...
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's go.
Hi, Melina.
All right, let's go check out what's going on over there.
Welcome. Hi, Julian. I hear you. Melina, your audio is not on yet, Melina.
Wait for me, Trunks.
There you go.
Wait. Okay.
You can keep the audio on, Julian. You don't have to turn it off because we're going to be dialoguing and talking with each other.
I was trying to put like my video, like my camera.
Okay. I think I can unmute you. Ask to start video. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Melina's coming back. Did you kick yourself off, Melina?
Hi. How are you?
Doing well. I was telling Julian that I got to meet with the 9th grade class and the 11th grade class today, and everybody said that they really enjoyed this format.
Oh.
So I hope that you enjoy it as well. We're gonna...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's kind of weird doing this. I haven't done this with a teacher.
Right. The other class said they really enjoyed it because they were able to focus better. You know, not having a lot of people around. So you are always really good with focusing, but